Hello, I'm Irma Baker. Welcome to our show. This is a show that I always look forward to because we have our guest, our annual guest, bringing us the update on Social Security. Now, sometimes you think, oh, well, Social Security, hey, there's a lot that can be going on there, and certainly for many of us, it is something that is a daily part of our lives. So, again, welcome, Robert Fenn. So
Happy
great
New
to
Year.
have you with us. Yes, Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year to you, and it's great to be back, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Well, always great to have you. And for those of you who don't know, Robert's job is basically to talk to all of you. His job is to help the public become aware of what they need to know about Social Security. And we're always glad to be able to help you do that.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. You're right.
What is new at Social Security? What's happening there?
Well, a lot of people ask that question to me and say, Social Security is always changing, and in my mind, myself, I'm like, well, I hope not, because I need to understand it as best as I can. But there are some changes that take place whenever there is what we call a cost of living adjustment. And so if there is a COLA, not the POP, but the actual cost of living adjustment, if that takes place, it has an effect on not only the Social Security cash payment, but also certain guidelines. So for example, if someone is working this year and they're wondering if I'm getting my retirement benefits, can I still work? Well, that dollar amount that they're allowed to work up to this year in 2020 is $18,240. So an individual can make that dollar amount or less and still receive all their Social Security payments. Now I want to make sure I don't mislead anyone because if they make more than that dollar amount, there's just a difference in our calculation of how many months we can pay them throughout the year. If a person is turning their full retirement age, that individual is now allowed to make $48,600 for the year, and it still has no effect on their Social Security payments. And that's very important, in today's day and age where individuals are saying, okay, whether it's I just want to stay a little busy, but I don't want to affect my Social Security payment. So what if I do get another job, whether it's full-time or part-time, that individual can do that. It's important for some individuals that when they contact us, they would like to, maybe they have a need to file for Social Security disability payments. And there's a dollar amount we call SGA, Substantial Gainful Activity. That means we're using this dollar amount to gauge the individual's work. And in 2020, a person is allowed to make $1,260, and we initially contact us, and that's going to be the number we're going to look at in terms of how much are they making each month. And so if they're making less than that, we will proceed with the application. If they're getting a Social Security disability payment, they're allowed to make what we call during our trial work period, meaning someone's getting back into the workforce. Their starting point then is $910 gross. So this means they can make $910 gross or less, and then we would say, all right, you can continue to work and without it affecting their Social Security disability benefits. So those are just a couple things.
That's interesting because I think a lot of people have the idea that if you are getting Social Security disability payments, that means that you're totally unable to work.
Absolutely, that's what people think. And they think that you're not allowed to work, and when it's not, that's not so. It's just that we're looking at the fact of how much they're earning to determine whether or not we continue to say they're sending the payments. Now, let me make sure I say this so I don't mislead anyone or take anyone off the wrong path. Social Security disability means that an individual can no longer work, whether it's for that condition that's going to last a year or possibly result in their passing. So we do look at their earnings because their earnings are letting us know whether or not they continue to flourish, if you will, and be able to work at a substantial amount. And so there's certain dollar amounts for Social Security, workman's comp, unemployment, job and family services. They may have other guidelines in terms of work, but Social Security, you're correct. The person, if they file for those benefits, we will look to see what their dollar amount is in terms of gross, what they're making, to determine whether or not we can send them a payment.
Well, when you look at it that way, and you say the ceiling is $990 or $1,000 a month, that's way below poverty level.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So it's not like they're going to be making out like
Right,
like they
gangbusters.
found it, yeah,
Yes,
like
yes, yes.
gangbusters, or
Yes.
they had a great windfall.
Yes.
It's barely enough to really add to whatever disability benefits they are getting.
That's right. And then when you look at it in this way, the average Social Security disability payment is a little only around $1,400. So that $1,400 for times 12, then in addition to the $900 that I said. And so in this time for that individual, there's nothing that you can put, there's no dollar amount you can put on the value of going to work. And so many of these individuals who are receiving Social Security disability payments, it's not about getting rich. It's about making sure that I am able to feel good, self-worth, and if I can, quite frankly, pay some bills. They still have families. There's still children who want a pair of new shoes and what have you, and so those moments come. And so you're going to say, okay, well, if I can find this job, what effect will it have on me or my family or just myself? And that's what's important about it, that opportunity to go back to work without that fear of that check stopping.
So they may take on a part-time job, something that is within the that's doable within the range of their disability.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in some individuals, again, if I can just bring the real world into it, some individuals, unfortunately, there's a condition, whatever that condition may be, it causes they have the moment where they cannot get back to work. So then they're receiving the Social Security disability payment. They're starting to feel better, okay, better, but the condition is still there, and they just want to test the waters, okay? And so this allows that individual to test those waters to see. There's individuals who, let's say there was a severe condition of cancer. So they were diagnosed, they had surgery or whatever it may be, but that condition still has its ailments to it. And so that individual is trying to get back into the workforce, but they're not certain, right? They just went through something. And so they will say, all right, well, maybe I can just work a little small part-time job here. Or maybe the past employer will allow me to work just a little bit. And this is what it's all about, that opportunity to see if I can get back into that workforce or not.
Well, yeah, there would be many things. I would imagine an accident where there are some physical limitations now that would interfere with holding the full-time job they had before.
Absolutely.
But it does help them to be able to support their families better, to feel, like you said, that sense of self-worth, and yes, I can do some things for myself. I'm not totally reliant.
That's right.
Well, there are some things that unfortunately people are trying to take away from us in many ways. And one of the things we talked about a little earlier that we'd like to share with our viewers is this whole issue of scams and fraud, and my gosh, what's happening out there?
Yes, unfortunately, there are individuals out there looking to capitalize on individuals' kindness, or individuals' money, quite frankly. I myself work for Social Security. Some people say, you're the Social Security guy. I still receive what we call these robocalls. I received 9 of these phone calls of someone impersonating as if they are from Social Security, saying, hey, if you do not do whatever it was, and when I say whatever it was, meaning that if I did not send them a check, if I did not, excuse me, if I did not recontact them and answer an email, something in order to get something from them, to increase my Social Security payment, or for me to not go to jail. So they're very threatening phone calls that individuals are receiving, and then unfortunately there have been some individuals who are recontacting these phone numbers. So let me give you a good example. Our 800 number is 1-800-772-1213. That is our national number. Someone calls that number, it goes to what we call teleservices, and these teleservices are across the United States. Many of us, when we get a phone call, we look at our caller ID. So you look at the caller ID and you decide, do I want to answer this phone call or not, right? When you look at it and you see the caller ID, you say, oh, this is that number to Social Security. So people answer it, they say hello, and then they may hear many times a robotic phone call where the individual is saying, you should call this number, an additional number, something separate. Call this number or you're subject to going to jail, some other type of threat, all right? There's a threat involved. And then they have them call that number, that person calls that number, and in some cases, what they're doing when they call that second number, they will say, well, in order for you to not go to jail, in order to make sure your Social Security account is not frozen, which we never do, in order to whatever it may be, you need to send us money. And they request this money in the form of a gift card. We had, unfortunately, it was a lady, and let me make sure I say this. She was not what people say a senior, right? Unfortunately, sometimes people think, well, it's just happening to seniors. It's the full gambit of age. And so she received the phone call. They requested that she would go to the, Target and get several gift cards, take money out of their bank account, put the money onto those gift cards, call them back and give them the gift card number. In this case here, $27,000. That's what she gave them. And so it was sad, it's unfortunate, but this is what's going on to many individuals. Because it starts with someone receiving that phone call, and then there's that fear factor, that pressure, that threatening. Social Security will never contact anyone and threaten to receive, to get an increase or anything in regards to their Social Security benefits.
So these look like they're coming from Social Security, but they're really not.
Yeah, they're called spoofing, and that's in the form of the caller ID. Now, sometimes the phone number, it'll just be a random area code. And they're savvy enough, they may use the local 330-440-216. They may use that area code. And so you're looking at your phone and you're like, I don't know who this is, but you may think in your mind, my grandson, my daughter, my husband, my whoever has that same phone number. Because many times we don't memorize our phone numbers any longer, right? Yeah. We just know, okay, this looks like the same number, so we answer it. But in the case for Social Security, if there's any time in which we're going to contact an individual, we are first going to mail a letter. We're going to let that individual know we are going to need to have a conversation with you for some reason, such as if you've already called us, we need to call you back. You are receiving a benefit, we need to make sure our records are correct. That will prompt us to do so. If you are waiting for something, you know, whether you made an appeal or some type of request, that will prompt us to do so. Fortunately, our commissioner, Andrew, Commissioner Andrew Saul has a YouTube video, and you can go to the YouTube website, Social Security Scams, and you can see that video, and he is directly addressing this issue at this time.
I think we have that on the screen. We just had that on the screen.
Good, good.
There.
And I want individuals to listen to it, take a view of that, and take time to pause before individuals react. There are other sources in terms of phone numbers in which individuals can use for if they are contacted. We do have our Office of Inspector General, OIG. There is a website. Individuals now can go to our website at socialsecurity.gov. We have a red banner at the top. They can click on that red banner if they receive that phone call. And then that red banner has another link, and it will go to the Office of Inspector General, and they can report this. Now, an individual does not have to contact us if they're just receiving a phone call. I'm telling everybody that if you get this phone call and someone's threatening you, hang up. It's just that simple. You hang up. But if you have disclosed some of your information, then you want to go to OIG, Office of Inspector General, or right on our website, socialsecurity.gov, look at the red banner, click that, and it'll allow you to start the process of reporting this phone call and, again, this scam.
That brings up the point that this whole idea of spoofing, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I went to answer my phone a couple weeks ago,
yes,
and the number on my caller ID was my phone number.
Oh, you're calling yourself.
Yeah, except of course I wasn't.
That's right.
Somebody was obviously spoofing my phone number and using it to try to reach people who may know me and think, oh, that's Irma calling.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't.
Yes.
So basically what you're saying is that unless you're expecting a call from Social Security, anybody who calls you and says they're Social Security, they aren't.
Yeah, It's not as likely that they are. Now, in fairness to myself, I do reach out to the public every now and then. I will mail a letter again first, contacting them. And then if they don't respond, I mail another letter, letting them know I mailed them the first letter. If they don't respond, I send a third letter saying I mailed the first 2 letters out to them. Please contact me. And so there's going to be a sequence of events. And any of the letters, there will be a phone number directly to me, letting them know how they can reach me. And all the letters, an individual can walk that letter right into the Social Security office and say, is this so? Is there a guy named Mr. Finn trying to reach me? Anyone in the United States, they all don't know me, but anyone who works for Social Security can pull up my name and see that I work for the Social Security Administration. So my point that I'm emphasizing is that Social Security does have moments where we do need to contact them, the person, but that's normally because the individual has already contacted us, or if we're needing to address what something is on our record, I had to contact someone just to make sure the phone number is correct, those types of things. But any type of communication that Social Security has will not be a conversation of me threatening, you have to do X, Y, Z, or you're going to jail. You have to do this, or we're going to withhold some money out of your bank account. We're going to freeze your Social Security. That is not taking place at all from someone from Social Security. That is the individual that should be hung up on, clearly.
So if anybody gets a letter through the mail from Social Security and they aren't expecting it, they get a phone call, the thing to do is check with the real Social Security office.
Yes, and I say that
hang
for
up on the phone calls, take the letter into the office and ask, did you really send this?
Yes, they can do that. And then if they wish, they can say, for any government agency, you can say, okay, well, I would rather, or I prefer to go back through your normal customer service chain. So they receive the phone call and say, okay, I will call you back. You're from where? You're from Social Security? Okay, well, I'm going to call Social Security. And then see if I need to handle an issue. So I don't want anyone wasting all their gas and running right to the office, but they can make a phone call on their own, separate from that one that they're currently on.
But I think the important point there is don't call a number that
They
person
gave
gave.
you. Yes.
Do not do that,
Yes.
because they're going to direct you to a line that's only there to get your money.
Absolutely, yes. So no way should you feel threatened or coerced, pushed to disclose any of your personal information. And I say this with a tad bit of humor behind it. If Social Security is calling you, why would I need to know what your Social Security number is? All right? I should know what that is. So I want people to just pause for a moment and just think about it. Now, if I'm trying to prove your identity, who you are, because in fairness to us for Social Security, if I do call you, I do need to know who picked up that phone. So I may ask some simple questions just to make sure that everything's okay. I may say your last name. You may be able to tell me your first name. I may be able to say your street address. You may then be able to say the number. So you can tell that it's legit. But again, you should have known that I was calling you prior to that.
Don't give your Social Security number. Don't give your bank account number. Don't give your checking account number. Don't give any personal information that someone else could use.
That's right, especially when you feel that threatened.
Oh,
that's the key that I want. When you feel that threatening, that push, and Social Security, even we have moments where an individual may need to make an appeal or what have you. These scams, they'll just say, you owe us X amount of dollars. Well, do I have any recourse about it? No. Send me the money now. That right there, that's that moment, our spidey senses are tingling, that sixth sense, whatever you want to call it, the hairs on your neck, whatever it is, mom's great advice, whatever it was to you, that's when it kicks in. You should think about it. This may be one of these moments where I need to call them back if it is legit through their normal customer service chain, or I need to bring the letter into the Social Security office, whatever it may be.
That also goes farther, because once you've given your personal information, that can be used for identity theft, can't it?
That's right. And so that's where a lot of this spills over to identity theft. And that's another source. Individuals can go to, there's another website called identitytheft.gov, which is another show that we could do. But identitytheft.gov is another source for individuals, which will actually help them for free chart out how to make certain documents to send out to credit reports, credit agencies, or other services that they were affected by someone using their Social Security number incorrectly. Because many people think that when their Social Security number is used incorrectly, they think they should contact us at Social Security. But our goal and our role is to find out that you've worked and then collect that amount in terms of taxes, what have you, to figure out how much we're going to pay you in the form of a payment, retirement, disability, Medicare, what have you. Many times, most of the times, that number is used as it affects a person's credit. So that's where they really should contact, is those credit agencies, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and there's two others that they can use. So that's why we say they can contact identitytheft.gov to help them start the process of getting their credit and what have you corrected.
You mentioned now two different websites, but I think the important thing there is that they both end in .gov, G-O-V.
Perfect.
And if it doesn't have that, and if that's not where it ends,
yes,
then chances are you're being scammed or somebody's trying to steal your identity. And what else should we know about identity theft from a Social Security standpoint?
In terms of Social Security, is that one, I tell people, let me start with the very basic component. I cannot emphasize this enough. Individuals, I'm encouraging you, do not carry your Social Security card around with you. There are many individuals who say, well, I never know when I'm going to need it. They understand the significance of it. And some people say, this is the first one that mom or dad gave me. I've had this card since I was 15, 13 years old, whatever it may be. But I challenge them just a little bit, and I say, if we go back to January 2019, a whole year, how many times do you think you had to show your Social Security card? And then they'll pause, and they'll think, and they'll, oh. And I said, you may have been asked, what is your Social Security number, but not having to show the actual Social Security card. So that's where it starts there, is keeping that card away. Documents that are mailed to you. I encourage individuals that whether it's a credit card application or if it's something that has your Social Security number on it, because for our Social Security, the majority of our documents do not have the Social Security number on it. Not all, but the majority of them do. We no longer place it on there. But if there is another agency, or if there's another service or that had your Social Security number on that document, shred it. There's no need for you to keep that document after you've had, the communication, whatever it may be. But I'm encouraging individuals to not mail their Social Security number, put it on extra documents that you're not knowing where that Social Security number is going to be or how it's going to be used. It shouldn't be something that we just say, oh, well, just another number. No, it's definitely more significant than that. So those are two starting points, I would say.
So don't carry your Social Security card.
Put it somewhere safe.
Yep. And I have to say, I was one of those people. I mean, I grew up keeping my Social Security card in my wallet.
Yes, it was encouraged.
Yes.
Yeah, people thought, this is what I need to do.
And you were handing it out when you did an application or whatever. You gave your Social Security number and you pulled it out and wrote it out. And then I got to thinking, really, just last year, I was thinking, oh, why am I doing this? And I'm not going to do that anymore. So I took it out of my wallet and I put it in a safe place. And that's it.
Yeah, Robert and I are friends. I better not be doing this. He's told me enough. That's right. Yes,
that's right.
Yes, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, what else should we know? This always happens, Robert. Every time you're here, we start running out of time. So in the last 2 minutes we have, what should we know?
Well, I want to encourage individuals to, whether it's any time that you get one of those phone calls, I want people to pause and just think about in terms of, is this a possible scam? And normally our senses do kick in correctly the first time. But I don't know all of our viewers, and I'm saying to them that if it's going to be Social Security contacting you, there's going to be letters mailed out to you. There was a reason that we contacted you. If it is not Social Security, where you're going to see that there's a threatening tone, there is a pushing, a very aggressive communication style to get you to disclose something, to get you to give away some type of money or whatever it may be, hang up that phone call.
So that's a red flag.
Yes.
And quickly, in the last little bit of time we have, we talked about the robocalls
Yes.
and that, but I think people should also be leery of those TV and radio commercials.
Yes. There are some TV and radio commercials that are legit, meaning that they say the word Social Security and the words maybe Medicare in it. And so they are offering a service, okay, but they are legit in terms of this is a capitalist society. They're trying to make money, but that's different, okay? You do not have to disclose any information to them. Some of these commercials are very savvy, and then they'll say, hey, we're going to increase your benefit, So they're trying to play on certain strategies of filing for Social Security benefits. So there are some that may be legit. I encourage individuals, you can contact Social Security, and we can tell you if you're receiving a benefit, can it be increased or not increased? Start with Social Security, and we'll take care of you from there.
So they may be legal, but they're not but they are not from Social Security.
Not from Social Security.
Well, you are from Social Security, and we
am.
are so glad to have you on every year. Thank you so much for bringing us up to date on all of this, and to
Thank
all
you.
of you. Thank you so much for viewing. We hope that this has been helpful to you, and have a wonderful day.